So without our resident guru and tech support wonder, Dieter, who's still off in Austria visiting his family, we are back here with yours truly and Diane Hansen, and Eric Larson is back with us. We're glad to see you back, Eric, and we extend our love and sympathy, and we're glad that you got through that, and we're just glad to have you back.
So, I'm glad to be back. We're still all confused with trying to log on. So
yeah, so we were trying to pull some of Dieter's magic out of our magic rabbit out of a hat, and we made it live. As far as we know, we made it live. we can't prove it, and nor can we even find your comments out there. So Jim Duke, who's usually standing by to let us know what's going on out there, we're transmitting in the blind, Jim. So anyway, well, we are back, and we're glad to be back. We're going to talk mostly about the two classes, or well, the one class that we're going to do in for the folks in Orange County, flying out of Orange County on October 30th. And I've got a new surprise, another class that we're going to propose to see how that goes. And we'll talk a little bit about the past classes that we've done. Diane and Eric have both been participants. They're both going to go on the class with me on October 30th, because we had a number of you people who came out of the woodwork to fly with us, and we're really excited about that. Those of you who have signed up but haven't purchased your ticket, get your tickets, because we don't want to end up padding Southwest Airlines coffers for nothing.
They're pretty cheap. They're still pretty cheap right now.
It's still at the cheapest fare. So I just checked a little while ago. So with that, all right. So let me share our screen. Oh, come on, I hit the wrong button.
And watch, the comments are coming. I'm looking down because I'm trying to watch us live and on Facebook, because we have no chief technical officer who's in Austria, and it's 3 a.m. But so far I'm still on last week's show, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get it to jump to tonight.
Probably not as good when they're not as timely, Eric. So don't worry about it.
I got it.
You got it.
Oh, good. All right. So you'll be the chief. This is like what it's like in the kindergarten class on the first day. So, but anyway, so well, I'm impressed, Diane, that you even found it there. So here we go. So welcome everybody. This is Fearless Flight Live, and hold that thought. I'm going to start the recording, as I told myself not to forget. Welcome, everybody. It's Captain Ron, Fearless Flight Live, with my trusted assistants here, Captain Eric Larson and Flight Attendant Diane Hansen. Missing, of course, is Dieter. He's off visiting his family over in Austria. This is the place to come if you're afraid to fly, or you know somebody who's afraid to fly. And we've been known to just talk about interest, or about airplanes, with people who are interested. So we're glad to have you in any regard. Leave us a comment down there, and maybe Diane will actually see it.
I got it too now. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. So we want to do a quick advertisement for our Fearless Flight private Facebook group called Birds of a Feather. It continues to grow, and we really encourage you to do that. We've reached a critical mass, and we have people out there. It's kind of self-sustaining now. I and the others try to monitor it so that we can answer questions, but it's a great place to go when you don't have any other place to go. And I'm getting a lot of people signing up for free 15-minute coaching calls, which I encourage you to do. And if you need any information or anything about that, just send me an email at Captain Ron, CAPTRON @fearlessflight.com. Okay. So here's the big surprise. And we're going to talk about the class that I've just put together that's going to fly out of Orange County on October 30th. I have been getting a number of people in the Phoenix area. So we're going to try to do one more 201-301 class in Phoenix for our local audience here by the end of the year. And I'm going to go over the dates there tonight. You will be getting a broadcast email towards no later than the end of this week. And what you will get is you will get a questionnaire again, like we did for this class, to let us know if you're interested. And I'm going to talk you through the parameters here in just a bit. We're going to go from Phoenix. We haven't picked the city that we're going to fly to. It'll be Las Vegas, Ontario, Orange County, Los Angeles, maybe even San Diego. We pick we choose from all those, wherever we can get the cheapest fares. And I'll tell you what worked out really, really well. Number one, your response to the class was really, really impressive. And number two, what worked out is we are still significantly ahead of when the fares will go up. I shouldn't say that we'll get a big head about it, but like we were talking about before, the fares are still at their cheapest. And so having the class advertise and do this well in advance really works to our advantage, and having everybody committed the way they have been. So the flight is going to be on December 11th, and I'll go through the other critical dates here in just a minute. Module 1. Now, this is not for the class in Orange County. This is going to be for the Phoenix class. And there are some caveats there, which I'll cover in just a minute for whether we're going to do the Phoenix class or not. But if we hold it, Module 1 is going to be on November 11th. That's a Thursday night. We're going to do it similarly to the way we're doing the Orange County flight. We're going to have 4 modules. They're going to be delivered on successive Thursday nights, with the exception of Thanksgiving, and we'll just skip that week and go to the next week. They'll all be recorded as we have in the past. So we really want you to be there live. It's really helpful to have the group and the group energy, but should you need to miss a class or so, they will be recorded, and you'll have them for posterity as well. We're going to have the same course, same modules. It's going to be online delivered in a webinar format. We're in Module 1 in the first week. We're going to talk about the psychology of fear of flying. In week 2, we're going to talk about the basics of flight. Week 3, we're going to talk about coping tools and strategies. And the bonus module on the 4th week is where we put it all together and we do a chair flight, which is a fun experience in and of itself. So here are the dates and times for the module, and this will be coming out in the email. So you'll get the questionnaire, and you'll get a replay of this show tonight with the separate slides, so they can recreate all these details here. But again, so module 1 is going to be on November 11th. With the successive modules on those dates, you can see we're skipping the week of Thanksgiving. And with the last module going to be on December 9th, with the flight on Saturday, December 11th. And notice the time, because of the time change, we're moving it up a week to 6:30. Because we go on Pacific Daylight Time there to keep it reasonable in the West. This is 6 hours of classroom with me and probably my cohorts here. We're going to use the proven fearless flight methods and tools, and it's really what you need to be prepared for all stages of flight, and particularly you'll have the confidence up. I advertise to people, you're not going to get over your anxiety in no matter what you do by the time you fly next. But what you are going to do is you're going to have the confidence that you'll be able to manage your anxiety and keep it from running off into a panic attack. And we're going to talk about all phases of flight, particularly the boarding and the pre-flight phases, where anticipatory anxiety usually is at the worst, and especially turbulence, because that's something that bugs everybody. As I said, we work to give you the confidence that you'll be able to recognize, regulate, and replace your triggers that cause your anxiety. We spend a lot of time talking about triggers and defensive strategies that you can employ to make that possible. In order to fly, you really have to have confidence that the airplanes and flying are safe. What causes people anxiety is the thought of not being safe. And that interestingly, that manifests in 2 ways. One, safe as far as flying goes, but a majority of the fearful flyers that I've worked with over the last few years, the feeling of safety is that I won't lose control of my own emotions. I'm doing an elite coaching person right now, and she just mentioned the other day, her biggest fear is that somehow she'll get anxious, lose control, and it'll lead to an embarrassing moment in the airplane. It doesn't happen because that part of your brain that makes you feel crazy sometimes also says, do not do that, because we do not want to be in the newspaper. All right.
I've never had a passenger, never seen.
No, and nor have I, nor has Eric ever had anybody that went through that. And another question that I'll throw out here is, I have people worrying about when they see people lose control or cause a scene in the airplane. A la the two people in the last couple of months that ended up being duct taped to the seats. I can assure you, I had a person write me and say, well, were those fearful flyers that got too drunk or got that? No. Fearful flyers, when you get on that airplane, yourself that the last thing you want is to draw attention. So people just don't do that. You're worried about people seeing that in you. It just doesn't happen. You look like anybody else when you may, even if you're tearing up and stuff, you don't look like a crazy person. You look like somebody that's really intense maybe, but the way you feel on the inside is never compromised by revealing itself to people on the outside. So, and as I mentioned, we're going to have Diane, we're going to have Eric down there, got a couple other previous graduates from the class that have asked me about flying, and I've encouraged them. I love having people who've gone through the class before. So you're going to have plenty of pre-flight and in-flight support. And then afterwards, we do a really fun post-flight debrief, and we pass out certificates of completion and graduation. So it's a great event. It really is fun, and it's the most fun we do. And what I found is the response is, this is really what people want to do. People are much more interested in a program that leads to a flight. And so we are, in fact, going to continue to experiment with this in other cities. For those of you, two Susans up in Boston, I hate to admit, we're not going to make the end of the year, but we are going to do Boston. Okay, here's a commitment. We're going to do Boston first thing it's going to be the first city in the new year. And that'll help us get more people to become aware of the flights as well. But we are going to try to do, we're going to do the Orange County class, and we're trying to put this Phoenix class together. Just a reminder, we don't have the destination yet, but if we do this class, it'll be a destination within about an hour of Phoenix, the ones that I mentioned previously. And the tuition for the class does not include the tickets, that you have to purchase those separately. And that gives you a lot more for them. Now, what I've done is I put a minimum of 10 students, but what I found is we're also, and you'll see this in the next slide, I believe it is. But what I found is I've had several people who have indicated that either they have flights coming up, or they just like the idea of having this course that they can take, that have signed up for it. So we have a few extra people that are going to participate in the webinars, and that's open to any of you anywhere listening to this show tonight. There's still time. If you decide that you would like to take the class that we're going to teach in next month in October, let me know, because there's time to enroll. And I have reduced the tuition for people who are not going to fly with us. And so what that does too is that makes the economics of it such that we can have, not everybody has to fly, and we might be able to adjust the minimum numbers of flyers there. You can bring coaches and companions if you are planning to make the flight. Okay, so the tuition, as it was last time, should we do this class in Phoenix, is going to be $497, and then for people not flying, the non-flying students, it would be $397. I am going to run an early bird special. I'm going to be liberal with that, and so if you do that and get in under the early bird deadline, I'm going to drop the class price tuition $100. So it would be $397 if you're flying and $297 if you're not. And the coach and companion fare would stay at $97 there. Again, the 4 modules are as I listed them up there beforehand, and these are the module dates again. So again, for anybody who is either would like to consider taking another class in November, even if you don't fly. These are the dates for the modules. And 11th, 18th, skip Thanksgiving, and then December 2nd, and then December 9th. And then the flight will be on December 11th. I'm going to send out an email to everybody on my list this week, and there will be in there, there'll be a questionnaire that you can, if you're interested, you can answer the questionnaire, and then we'll have your information. And then, like I did for the Orange County class, I will personally contact each and every one of you to make sure that, in fact, you are interested in going. I'll confirm it when you are included in the class, and I'll send a PayPal invoice out. You can pay with check, credit, debit card, just about any form of payment you want. And if there will be also a question that says if you would be interested in installment payments. And I've had a couple people that took advantage of that. And I want to make it affordable for everybody out there because I want to get you on the airplane. Okay, so that is the essence of that, and just the highlights again are we're going to do the Orange County class coming up, starting a week from tomorrow night will be the first module. And I don't know whether if Diane's not flying and Eric, I'm sure that they'll at least drop in on us. It's a lot of fun. We're going to be, you'll be getting, for those of you who have registered, you'll be getting more from me tomorrow. And as the week progresses, you'll get the logins, the links to the Zoom class, the Zoom meetings that we'll be using. So
We've got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this is from Tracy Solis. My daughter had a delay on a flight over weight distribution. What are the details behind this, and what exactly has to be done? So
Okay.
You guys can address that, and then I can also, from my
Sure.
perspective. So why don't you guys go ahead and talk about weight distribution?
That wasn't something they need to take personally. It's not, because you all either weigh what, 185 or 195. This time of the year, it's
Depends on
190.
whether or not it's a summer or winter.
Exactly. So what that is, and you normally see it. I think this is true for the regional jets. You're going to see it when you don't have a full load,
right?
And oftentimes everybody sits in the back, and we pull people forward because we have an issue with the center of gravity. I'll hold the airplane up, and I got to put it somewhere where it doesn't disappear on me. And there we go. And so if we have too many people in the back, the tail gets heavy, and it doesn't necessarily make it dangerous, but it actually adds drag to the airplane, and you get poor fuel economy because now, if you can imagine the wind coming over the front of the wings here, if I'm flying through the air, same angle like that, it makes the more of a surface area on there. But in fact, we have a really complicated, not complicated, we have a very ingenious computer program that figures this out, because we have to have the center of gravity correct before that airplane is allowed to fly. It has to be within the limits, which is determined by flight testing before we take off. It has to remain in limits while we're in cruise, because we burn fuel out of the tanks, out of the center tank and out of the wing tanks, and that shifts the center of gravity. And it also has to be within limits for landing. And Eric, how many times would you say that we have and Diane as well, how many times would you say that we ask people to move on the airplane?
We did it, but it was rare in 30 years. It was rare, depending on the airplane, but we did do it.
Has it happened to you, Diane?
It has.
Since you've been working? Okay.
And probably more so with our smaller planes.
Yeah.
Than with you guys, with your big Boeings and the Airbus and that sort of thing, because we have how to put it, a little bit smaller margin for error, and particularly on the CRJ 200. We'll very often, the captain will say, can we close? And they'll say, no, we're still working on CG, the center of gravity. And so they move bags. I've been on a flight where we had to take bags that were in the cabin that passengers had brought on board, and we had to put them in cargo. Now, the passengers say, now, wait a minute. The plane is going to have the same amount of bags and everything else. I don't get the fact that it can't be either in the cabin, it has to be in cargo, or can't be in cargo, it has to be in the cabin. And they don't understand that, for example, on our planes, the cargo is at the very aft. And so it does make a difference whether or not everything's in the aft of the plane or it's distributed evenly in the overhead bins. Exactly.
It's like a teeter-totter or a seesaw.
And we've had situations, particularly not in the 700 so much of the 900, but in the 200, the captain will say to the one flight attendant on a 200, I need you to move 3 people from zone E up to zone B, which is the zones are like 3 rows at a time. And the people don't understand, but it is, as you have described it, it's a very critical aspect of efficiency and safety. So
right, so it's like a seesaw in all the phases of flight, and the way we manipulate it is we want the center of gravity to be somewhere, the mass concentrated somewhere near the center of gravity. And if it's too far aft, for example, now it depends on your airspeed. So because I can manipulate if the nose wanted to rise for that, and I don't want it to rise, it takes a certain amount of airspeed over the horizontal stabilizer in the back there in order for me to deflect the control surface and lower it. So that's why we need to have it on takeoff and landing, because we're traveling at slower speeds. In flight, it's not as critical because we're at a high speed all the time, and so we have plenty of energy going over the horizontal stabilizer. But when we're when we've slowed down for takeoff and landing, now we don't have as much energy that we can extract from that, or as much elevator control. So now you can get in a situation where the nose you wouldn't be able to push it down. And I think the biggest thing.
Interject, Ron, for 30 seconds, and I don't know if we grabbed the picture or not. You have that picture of the MC-11. The weekend before last weekend, the USC Trojans were playing NCAA football at Washington State, and they chartered a United 737-800 and flew it into Lewiston, Idaho, which is just over the border, 10, 12 miles away. Well, nobody made a PA about getting off the airplane, and the airplane probably had a very light fuel load. It wasn't going very far, and a bunch of great big guys, because this wasn't a troop of ballerinas, it was a football team. So a bunch of great big guys, and they had those great big gear bags that they throw in the belly, and they didn't say anything about getting off. So the front end of the airplane started deplaning, and they still had some of those monster bags in the cargo compartment, and all the guys in the back, and the airplane smashed down on the tail on the ramp. It's a very embarrassing picture, and doubtlessly did some structural damage with the nose sticking up into the air. And I think Ron has it; he's looking for it. But that was all over mainstream media a week ago. It was a light news day, and it was not a happy picture. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Yeah. That was what we would call that a gross and egregious out of center of gravity situation.
Yeah, and the circumstances are that nobody got hurt or anything like that. But let me tell you, somebody probably lost their job over it, because
how embarrassing is that?
When you even bump an airplane, you're talking about millions of dollars to test it to make sure that it wasn't bent irretrievably. And so I'll look that up, and I'll do the one. I'll find the one with the donkey as well for next week.
I had a kind of a similar situation, not with regard to weight, but just the notion of how things that seem simple can create a big problem. I was forward had opened the main cabin door, and the jet bridge driver, the agent, was driving it, bringing it forward, and it almost hit the cable that holds the main cabin door. And I'm standing there, and there's terror, absolute terror in my eyes to say, please stop, because you're going to break something, which means the door can't open, the door can't close, we got a broken plane, and it's just going to go very badly. So I can only imagine. Michelle Villa had another question. She says, I was on a military.
Let me say one thing about to close it out. The thing that bothers most people is they're sitting there on this airplane that's, even if it's a regional jet, they know it's big and heavy. So there's this mystique about how the thing gets into the air and stays in the air. So when you have somebody that says, would you please move up 3 seats?
Yeah.
you know, with that kind of precision, it's like, are you kidding me? So the average brain says, are we that critical? You know, that, you know, my God, I thought there was a much greater margin of safety. Well, there really is, but we always err on the side of ridiculously safe. And so that's why it happened. So you weren't on the edge of death, you know, and that's the thing I want to leave you with. So go ahead, Diane.
No, I was just going to say her question was, the second question was, I was on a military flight once. We had a bag weight limit. Is that the same thing? So, you know, for military flights, I don't really know. For commercial, I don't, you know, I've never experienced that. I've never had, have you guys?
Well, yeah, you can have a bag. So this is, you know, in the average bag. Now, correct me, Eric, is every bag goes across the scale that's checked. Okay. Is that is that the number that we're getting? You know,
that's real bag weight now.
Okay, so in the old days, if people checked the bag, it was 25 pounds, I believe, right? Something like that. So now the fact that's one of the really positive things about post 9/11 is because of positive bag ID. Two things: one, we know how much they weigh. And two, we know where your bag is more often now than we ever did in the past. The numbers of people with lost luggage is just, it's I won't say it's not a factor, but it's hardly a factor anymore.
It's very rare.
Yeah.
It's very rare. Yeah.
Ron's right. We used to we had summer passenger weights and we had winter passenger weights, and we had summer passenger bags and we had winter passenger bags, knowing that people have more boots and all that kind of stuff and coats stuffed in the bag. But now they just weigh them. So they know exactly what's thrown in the belly. And the question about the military plane may not be so much center of gravity as load limit. There is upper total load limits. And so when they limit bag weight like that, and when I am offshore a lot at some place where I want to go look at fish, and we have small airplanes, they restrict us a lot with what we can carry because of the plane's physical capacity of what it can carry.
Yeah, and I can tell you when I was in the military, even though it was some time ago, when they limit the bag weight, that's an anticipatory thing because they're still going to weigh the bags before they put them on the airplane. But all they're trying to do is say, hey, if you come with too heavy of bags, we may not put your bags on with the load there because we're going to be limited on the overall weight of the airplane, which we are limited to. Every airliner has a maximum takeoff weight, and some portion of that is fuel, some portion of that is passengers, and some portion of that is bag weight, and some portion is cargo. So you could bet if we're pushing the limit, usually the first thing to go is the cargo because it doesn't complain. And the second thing to go is your bag down in the bag area because it doesn't complain. You may when you get there, but it doesn't right then. And the last thing is removing people off the airplane. So, but on occasion,
that's the second to the last thing, Ron. We throw off the people before we throw off the gas.
Yeah,
we're not going to take the people and give up the gas.
Right. Only get halfway. Diane, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say when. And that's one of the important things when we get ready to close the main cabin door. The forward flight attendant has to go to the captain and say, are we ready to close?
Yeah.
They have to have received the release with regard to their fuel and the baggage. So they need to know what the bag weight is for them to give us permission to close the main cabin door. So that's one of the last bits of information that they're receiving through their computers, their ACARs, whatever, in order to do that. So,
okay. So I want to say just a quick word about just in general, how do you get over a fear of flying? You've got to change the way that you think about flying, right? Because the person sitting next to you who's not afraid to fly, when compared to what's in your brain, who is afraid to fly, it's what's going on in there. You're thinking about, why do I feel so badly? You know, all the things. Can the airplane stand this? Am I going to maintain my composure? Am I going to lose control? All these kinds of things. Am I going to cause a stir and embarrass myself? And the person next to you, if it's me, I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat when I get to the next point of landing or point of destination. So that's really what's after it. So you know, it ends up being a mystery to people. And I really want to throw another plug out for a 15-minute coaching session. I can't overemphasize how important that is for so many people. And because most of you out there, it's like, it's such an abstract problem. How am I going to change it? It's to some degree, it's like losing weight. I can't quit eating, just like you can't quit thinking. And when you get triggered, it's your thoughts that drive you crazy. And so you've got to work on a way to do that. And all of my strategies, all the stuff I use hypnotherapy, I use CBT, all of it has one goal. And that is, how are you going to regain control of your attention after your amygdala, that part of the brain that runs your fight or flight program, after it hijacks it? That's it in a nutshell. And I can't tell you, 34 years ago, I have to confess, I didn't know squat. But what I've learned about helping people has come more from you all than it has from anything I've learned out of a book or in a class. And so I just want to throw that out there, because I'm seeing it. A large number of people have been doing coaching with me since the people started to return to the air, and I'm seeing nothing but success. I haven't had anybody who went through a 60-minute coaching session and flew that had anything other than a better experience. They weren't anxiety free, but you've heard me say over and over, you're not going to be anxiety free on the next flight. The number one therapy that you need to experience is exposure. And the more you expose yourself, the better off. That didn't come out right, but the more that you experience exposure to your anxiety, the better off and the quicker you're going to do that. I was talking to a person just yesterday. I said, if you had the money and you would follow what I did, I would assign you to fly, if you live in Phoenix, for example, fly from Phoenix to San Diego today. As soon as you get off the airplane, turn right around and fly back. Do that for 30 days. And I guarantee you probably wouldn't make it more than 10 trips, because by the time you say, I get it, Ron, I get it. Okay, I just need to do it more. And that's the problem, is you don't have an opportunity. The average person doesn't fly enough, like Diane and Eric and I, to normalize it to the extent that it's like driving a car. And when you only do it infrequently, it makes it even harder. But if you stick with this and you follow the guidelines, it means if you're going to fly a year from now or 6 months from now, you don't have to bear down like you're studying for a final exam every night before the flight. You can take a break until you get within 3 to 4 weeks of the flight, and we'll give you a whole flight plan on what you can do. And that's what the people next week are going to start doing when they take the class for the people that we're going to fly out of Orange County with. So I really want to encourage you to, one, try to think as positive as you can about the fact that it's not going to be the rest of your life like this. And you're not going to need to take medication the rest of your life, even though you may want to feel compelled to do it now. But I'd love to make a case for whether you can fly with us or not in Orange County, or whether you can fly with us or not. Should we do the Phoenix class? I'd love to have as many of you as possible join the class, because you're going to learn skills that practical skills that you can go out and change it with. My coaching is totally oriented. We talk about some of the theory, we talk about some of the physiology of the brain and the mind, but mostly, at least in the last 2 weeks, we talk about what you can do to make a difference. That includes breathing through a straw, writing with your non-preferred hand, and all kinds of crazy things that I've come up with, and other people have come up with, that work over time, over the long term there. So, I'm looking forward to the flight. It's been a while it's been over a year since we've done that, and it's nothing but fun for us.
I can't
to watch people come to the airplane, just many of them just totally, worried about what's going to happen that day. And literally within 15 minutes of leaving the ground, people are they can't believe that they did it. The number one comment that I take away from every class is, I can't believe I waited this long. And so we are going to do this. And like I said, so if you're out there and you're thinking about a Phoenix class, and I try to time this so it would be, we didn't make Thanksgiving, but we will do it in time to make a difference for Christmas. And if you're worried about not being able to buy a ticket for Christmas, buy your ticket and come to the class.
Right.
Okay.
Ron, you have to go over
the.
the class timetables again because nobody's listening to you. They're all just giving me support, which I really appreciate. So they missed
Okay.
all the detail about when the classes are. No, I'm just joking.
Okay, so the Orange County classes are coming up next week, next Thursday.
I was kidding.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Terrible.
Right.
So
Right.
this is the kind of fun that we're all going to have.
Yeah.
When we
If
all
Eric's there, it's
yeah.
definitely going to be.
You
It's
are- you
definitely
are
going to be
gonna
fun. Yeah.
Being anxious about the flight will be the least of your problems.
Yeah.
You'll be sitting there groaning because of the bad dad jokes. So
Yeah. There you go.
You'll say,
So-
I'm never going to fly with those guys again. I'm just going to go by myself
Right,
and,
yeah, there you go.
take the pain
That's-
off the trip.
that's
Yeah.
our secret. That's our secret motivation is we got to get away from you three and fly alone.
There you go. So we're going to watch for the email coming out towards the end of this week. And who should watch for it? Anybody who's going to be in Phoenix and has been waiting for the class, the 201 and the 301 flight, and anybody anywhere on the planet who wants to get over this and can't make the flight, you can still make the class. And we've had a number of that, and that helps support not only us, but it helps support the people that want to fly out of Phoenix there. So, all right. So thanks for joining us tonight. It's been another great experience for me and for the crew here. So we hope to see you next week on another episode of Fearless Flight Live. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.